I'm going to show you how I make these little notebooks, and they're very simple. Whenever you're done, you can see they're bound and glued together with a chipboard back. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start out on the computer. This isn't going to be a tutorial on how to use InDesign or any of the other programs that you could use to set up your notepads. This is just going to be a quick, just a quick little demo to show you how I do it for these smaller notepads. So first of all, this is just regular 8.5 by 11 copy paper, and the first thing I do when I set this up is I don't think I have the lines already on this one. I can find my layer panel. Yeah, I don't think I have. I'm looking to see if I left the lines or if I got rid of them. Okay, I got rid of them. So I'm going to turn all of my little guides on. And the first thing I would do, and this is applicable for whatever program you use. This is InDesign, but you can use, you could probably, I'm sure, do this on Microsoft Word or anything that you can put graphics and text and print from. So even if you use Silhouette Studio, this is perfectly capable of doing it with this. Okay, so the first thing I would do would be to make a line, and I want that line to be in the center. So this is 8.5 by 11 paper, so I would put my center at 5.5 for the 11, and then my second line I would put at 4.25. And this is what I would do because I'm going to, for these notebooks, I print off 13 sheets. It gives me 52 pages per notebook, which is a pretty decent. You can see how thick it is with regular copy paper. It's a pretty decent size. Any bigger than that and it would be huge. So 50 pages would be optimal, but I have 4, so by multiples I use 52 for each notebook. So I'm just going to divide that up into 4s, and then I'm going to put the same design or similar on top as I do on the bottom, and you can see that it's basically the same design. I used my same pen background, and then I changed up some of the little things just to make them a little different. Each one has where it has customer details, and then the order details. I changed the colors around, like I said, just to make them different, but they could all be the same. It doesn't really matter. This one, this little circus one, they're all the same. There's nothing, it was just the same design copied and pasted 4 times. So after you do this, then if you put like I did on this one, if you put your lines, you either need to delete it or change it to a no stroke, no fill, something, because if you print it, you're gonna see them, and you don't want to see it whenever it comes time to print. Okay, so I zoomed out, and I'm gonna turn off my all of my guides so you can see what this is gonna look like when it prints. So when it prints, it's gonna print all 4, and then I just need to cut it down. This is one that I printed on legal paper. That's 8.5 by 14, and it's going to be a 52 page. So I'm gonna have to make 26 of these. I'm gonna have to print it off 26 times, and it's going to be one that you can tear off a week at a time. Either one works. And then I just need to print it. I need to print off all of the copies, and then I will meet you at the table where I'm going to cut and glue everything. Again, this is a really simple and fairly quick project once you get your design down. Okay, so I have everything here that I need, and I'm going to start with, there's a couple things you can use to do this. You can use one of these This is just a simple paper cutter, or I actually prefer, that back underneath my desk. I actually prefer to use a rotary cutter. This is one that is, as you can see, an extremely old one. And I use mostly, this one is my paper. This is my paper cutting one, and I only cut paper with it. And I use my quilting rulers. This, I'm not sponsored by this company, or they didn't. I've purchased all the tools that I'm using. I've purchased those, but this is by a company called Creative Grids. And honestly, I love their rulers. They have this, I don't know if you can see it on the video or not. They have this little, like a textured surface on the back of all of their rulers, and it just keeps, it holds on to the paper, and it doesn't slide around like other just acrylic rulers. I mean, I'm pushing pretty hard and it's not going anywhere. Okay, so anyway, I've got my rulers, my rotary cutter that I'm going to use, and of course my paper that I just printed, and this is my chipboard. I will link it down below in the comment section. It's also in my Amazon store, and I'll put the link to that. All of the materials and stuff that I use, or at least most of them as far as I know, is in there, but I'll make sure this one is. This is 8.5 by 11. I also have one for the larger, for these papers. This was the one that was printed on the legal size paper, and I haven't been able to find a good legal size chipboard that I like, so I purchased an 11 by 17, and then I'm just going to be cutting it down. So anyway, let me get that out of the way, and we're going to start cutting. It's really, really, really simple. So we're just going to cut this into 4s. This is 4 1/4. So I'm just going to line that up. 4 1/4. 4 1/4. And if you're going to do this, I'll move this closer down so you can see it a little bit better. If you are going to do this with a rotary cutter, for sure, stand up when you do this. It's just so much easier. It's too hard to get enough pressure when you're doing this by hand with the rotary cutter if you're doing it sitting down. So hold on real tight. As you can see, it's not slipping, and it may take 1 or 2 passes. So 4 1/4 and 5 1/2. So for the bottom piece, then measure your 5 1/2, and see how easy that went through. But that's the trick with using the rotary cutter and doing this manually, is you need to stand up. So again, 5 1/2. It doesn't really matter what line you're using, as long as you're cutting it to the correct size. So 5 1/2. Now, when you cut your paper, whether you're doing it manually with the rotary cutter or you're using a paper cutter, follow whatever the directions tell you. If it says maximum of 5 pieces of paper, only do 5 pieces of paper. Otherwise, your paper's going to slip and you're not going to get nice clean cuts. All right, so for this, I like to divide my papers out, maybe about 4 or so pages at a time. If you try to do too much, your paper's going to slip and it's not going to be even. clips. This is the glue that I'm going to use. I have my extra pieces of cardboard. I've got all of my tumbler pages and my backer. And then I'm ready to glue. So I'm very simply going to just do my best to line it up the absolute best I can. And when I do this, I'm just kind of putting this down a little bit. You can see it's not completely, because I need this so that I can clamp it. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a clamp down here. I want to be able to get to all of my pages. Since this is not opening, I'm just going to use this thing. And you can use a brush, you can use whatever. Honestly, I usually just use my fingers. You just want to get it real good into, I like to push it down into those papers. Make sure I get all of it covered. And you can see I've got a little spot there, so I need to take that out. And I'll smooth it out real well. And then once that's done, I don't mind if I get a little extra on the back. I just don't want it on the front. So now we'll get that off my hands. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to move this up closer. And I'm going to put my clips, my binding clips, right along the side. So we want to keep it all nice and tightly bound. So now I'm just going to let this set and probably for at least an hour and make sure that glue's nice and dry. And then I'm going to remove the binding clips and put one more coat of glue. And then it will be completely finished. All right, so we're back. It's been more than a day. So we'll take that off and you can see how nice the glue looks on top. And we are completely glued. The only thing I can say for these is when you do your initial glue, make sure that you get the glue on all the individual papers. Otherwise, if you don't get the glue on there, it's gonna fall apart. So that's it, very simple. And it's a quick item to make. You'll spend more time getting your design done and printing than you will to actually put it together. So I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial and enjoy making your own.